Hello everyone, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today I am going to be putting a video within a video, and hopefully you guys will be educated about the things that Martin Luther King did aside from the civil rights movement. And I hope that you guys not only find it interesting but also very informative, so you can learn a little bit more about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and why he's so important and why we should celebrate him.
Hi, I'm Gabby Ransford, and today Alana Duval and I are walking through the halls of Episcopal Collegiate School. Today, we are going to find out what fellow Wildcats think and know of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. How much do you know about Martin Luther King?
A fair amount, considering I teach American history.
I know that he was an African-American civil rights activist.
I know Martin Luther King was a civil rights activist who delivered the I Have a Dream speech in front of the Lincoln Memorial.
I know that Dr. King helped blend the racial lines that were dividing the country.
What impact has he had on the country?
I believe he helped people find their voice and able to stand up for themselves and try to erase the separation between black and white, anybody of a different race, that we're all one people under God and that we should be treated equally.
He helped propel the modern civil rights movement to prominence. He became the face of that movement for a lot of people.
I think he's had a pretty great impact on the world, and I think he's brought everyone together from many different backgrounds as a greater community.
As everyone previously mentioned before, King was a civil rights activist. However, his other achievements have been shoved under a rug, unrecognized, and typically unmentioned in society today.
Martin Luther King was more than one activist in one movement. He was an influential leader fighting peacefully for his stances for issues such as labor rights, the Vietnam War, and economic justice.
King is most known for his peaceful protests that fought for equality and opposed segregation. Martin Luther King's life is often summed up into a few sentences. In fact, the same events are told over and over again. The bus boycott, the I Have a Dream speech, and his assassination are a few repeated events. Many people leave out other things he fought for, pushing him into one category instead of acknowledging him as a leader for an assortment of controversial movements.
A very critical issue that King fought for at the time was workers' rights. One of his major accomplishments was being a supporter for protests towards this concern. Specifically, he was an advocate for nonviolent protest in the Memphis sanitation worker strike, alongside 1,300 black sanitation workers in 1968. King protested against discrimination, minuscule pay, and horrendous working conditions. On the 2nd March, King went to Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee, and gave a speech in support of the workers.
Martin Luther King had strong views against the Vietnam War. He held speeches like Beyond Vietnam that spoke against it. He explained that the war had contributed to American poverty. He took on the responsibility of speaking for the families and poor people of America who suffered from the war.
I speak out against this war because I'm disappointed with America. I'm disappointed with our failure to deal positively and forthrightly with the triple evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism.
Martin Luther King focused on economic justice as well as civil rights, labor rights, and the Vietnam War. He believed that the government should do more to help the unemployed and defended the right of citizens to receive at least minimum wage for their services. In his letter to Coretta Scott, he spoke of capitalism, how it originally was necessary and how it no longer served that purpose. King made moves towards economic change, organizing the Poor People's Campaign, and marching for justice for the impoverished American people. Unfortunately, King died before he could further excel the movement.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was more than just a civil rights activist. He was a leading voice in the fight towards economic and racial equality and labor rights. By working with the Negro rights movement and labor rights, King helped to bring certain subjects into the national spotlight. King's views against the Vietnam War exposed its correlation to the economic injustice in the nation. Without King, an abundance of controversial issues would have remained unbothered for a longer period of time, and his effect on the world would be erased from the unknown future.
Yay! Okay, now that the video is over, I hope that you guys loved it. I did it with a classmate of mine around a year ago, and I hope that you guys just really enjoyed it and that you learned a lot. Also, just for general information, this coming February I will be coming out with a series about Black History Month, and I hope you guys will also tune into that and be looking out for next week's video.